Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 15th of February 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's afternoon session. We're gonna have a look at the markets, a few charts, the usual stuff, guys. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Right, okay now, so well, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is Nasdaq100. Now, I've looked at this one this morning and just wanted to give you a quick update. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because looking at the cash indices right now, we can see that DAX has managed to rebound nicely from this upside support line taken from the low of the 24th of December, and now it's currently near, or should I say slightly above the this area of resistance that I was talking about in this morning video, around the 7,040. Certainly in a way you could lift it up a little bit and just to kind of take it towards the nice beautiful number of 7,050. So this could be that your barrier, or let's say this level to watch out for. If we do see a nice strong break above that, then yep, we could see further acceleration to the upside, of course aiming for the 7,107 mark approximately there. So just to kind of point out that that level, the 7,100, and oh, my platform is slightly lagging a little bit, so I do apologize for that. So the 7,107 level, that was near the highs of the 3rd of December, so that's the one that we're going to be keeping a close eye on, especially if we see a continuation move higher, and of course a nice good pop above the 7,050 level. So right now, like I said, judging from the cash index where it is right now, it seems to be there's a good chance of seeing further acceleration to the upside, guys. So yep, be very careful and keep your eyes on that one. Now jumping into DAX here. DAX is of course having a fantastic run today, certainly of course initially testing the S1 of today, which was around the 11,025, something like that, and now of course you can see that it's almost near its R2, which is near the 11,325 level. So of course that's the one that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Looking at this picture, there is a good chance we might see a further move higher, maybe even actually testing this high near the 11,375 mark, which was near the highs of the 5th of February. Certainly that's quite an interesting and good potential area for resistance. So of course the big question here is, will that be reached today, or is this something for next week? So for now, like I said, looking at this 4-hour chart, certainly it seems to be very strong and looks very strong, and but don't forget about the possibility of maybe seeing a bit of more retracement to the downside. Now what you could do here from the short-term perspective is to keep a close eye on this little level right here near the 11,260 mark, which was the high of yesterday. So in a way, keep a close eye on it, because if this decides to drop below this now, and of course if the index closes today below this level, below the 11,260, it could be a bit of a worry for the bulls. But to be honest, in order for us, let's say, to consider further declines, we would need to see this one actually reversing back down and eventually dropping below the psychological 11,000 level. So this is where we could then see more bears jumping in, joining in, and potentially riding this one lower, maybe even actually going all the way here towards the 10,825 level, which you can see that in the past acted as a good area of support here between the 8th of January and the 17th of January. So that's why this level becomes quite an interesting one to watch, but only if we see a drop below the 11,000 level, in a way psychological 11,000 right now. But again, like I said, in terms of the downside, it is slightly off the table for now. Certainly, like I said, we are looking at further higher levels. It will be interesting to see if this actually, where exactly this will end today, but still keep a close eye on this R2, which is near the 11,325. Let's see if it actually manages to reach that. It just fell shy of a few points actually touching that already, but still, it still could have another attempt of doing that, especially if it remains trading above the 11,260 level. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. Jumping into gold now. Also, I was talking about this one this morning, and we were basically gold was basically sitting around here, just around the 1315 level. Now I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this 1316 area here. As you can see, that previously acted as a good area of resistance. So now you can see that gold is pushing higher. It's aiming for this level that we also mentioned in the morning video, and that was the R2, which is around the 1321 level. So for now, of course, that becomes the target for now. Of course, it's not far from it already, but let's see if the bulls still have enough steam to drive this one further higher. And even actually what we're looking for here is, of course, another retest of this 1326 level, which was near the highs of 31st of January. So keep your eyes on that one, especially if this continues to push higher and let's say breaks above the 1321 level. Now this is where it could become interesting to see if actually we reach that this 1326, but at the moment this is our target. Only after the we see a test of the 1321 level. This is of course from the very short-term perspective. From the longer-term perspective, we need to see a nice good pop above the 1326 in order to kind of consider much higher levels. So in terms of the downside, if this suddenly decides to reverse back down and drops below the 1316 level, now of course maybe this could mean that the bulls are not ready to drive this one higher yet. Certainly don't forget that we're still above this upside support line here, taken from the lows of November, or to be more precise, the lows of 14th of November. And in a way, even if this decides to drop below the 1316 level, certainly the bulls still can have an opportunity to jump in here around somewhere around this upside support line, only if it remains intact. Because if this suddenly starts breaking and we see the price dropping below the 1302 level, approximately there, you can see that this level acted as good support back here on the 7th of February and also the 14th, which was yesterday. So yep, if this decides to drop below this, then yep, I mean, this could turn out to be ugly for this precious metal. But for now, judging from the picture where we are sitting right now, it seems to be gold seems to be more bullish than bearish. Jumping into Ripple now. Ripple is a very interesting one here. Looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see that in a way it's coiling up here, and certainly it's trading above a few of these upside support lines, and the most important, it's trading still below this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 31st of January. And now for us, let's say, to start looking at much higher levels, and like I said, looking at this 4-hour chart, we need to see initially a nice good pop above this downside resistance line. And for better confirmation of the upside, we would like to see a nice good push above the 0.3190 level, and only then we will target higher levels. Of course, then we will aim for the 0.3260, which was marked here by the high of the 8th of February. But if that doesn't stop the bulls here, we could see maybe this one, even this crypto retesting this area right here near the 0.3425 level, approximately there. It was marked by the highs of the 31st of January. So for now, guys, continue observing this one. Be very cautious because it's still within this formation. Certainly it at the moment, looking at today's activity, it is looking slightly more to the positive side, but again, we need some confirmation breaks first before we can assume that this could potentially travel higher. On the downside, if this little short-term tentative upside support line taken from the low of the 6th of February gets broken, then yep, it is opening the path towards this other upside support line taken from the low of the 29th of January. So in a way, of course, we'll just, for now, we're just going to keep it short and simple. If we do get a break below this little short-term tentative upside support line, like I said, this is where we will just target this area first, because then we'll see what it wants to do. Maybe actually wants to do something like this, but again, like I said, for now, from the very short-term perspective, that's the case. You can see that now it's reversing back down already, and of course, like I said, this is the big question: is this going to drop lower, or is it actually going to tease us, continue to tease us, and then eventually pops to the upside? So for now, guys, long story short, we are more on the neutral side, and we're waiting for that confirmation break first in order to kind of see where it goes further. Jumping into AUDUSD now, this one, well, let's put it that way. Aussie and the New Zealand dollar are quite strong today, and you can see that how nicely it's pushing to the upside here. Now, of course, the big problem here is this little area of resistance near the 0.7135. You can see that throughout this week it kind of held the price, sorry, it held the rate nicely lower, and yeah, the pair struggled to overcome this area. So basically, as you probably understood now, we are looking for this break here above the 0.7135 level, and only then we will target higher levels. Of course, initially we will aim for this little area right here. Let me just quickly put a line for our future reference. Of course, this is where we will target this little low that we saw here back on the 4th of February, and that was approximately around the 0.7190, and but only if we see a nice good pop above the 0.7135 level. But for now, like I said, it is trying to push higher. You can see that the bulls are kind of dictating the rules for now, but let's see how this day evolves, and if eventually we see a nice good push above the 0.7135 level. If it doesn't happen today, then something to watch out for next week, and as long as it kind of continues to trade here near this 0.7135 level, certainly we are going to be continuing well, we will continue observing this area and this potential breaking point here, because for us to, let's say, to switch to more towards the downside, well, we would like to see a nice good drop below these lows that we saw here this week, and that was near the 0.7055 level. So a nice good drop below the 0.7055 could open the path towards those lower levels here that we saw back here in the beginning of January. And of course, like I said, this is one of them, could be this 0.7023 level, approximately there, of course, but slightly below that we do have a nice good 0.6970 barrier here. Now, for this one, just to kind of show you what that level was, and we need to kind of scroll back here for quite a bit into history. Let me just put a daily chart. There we go. It will be much easier, guys. So this 0.6970 was near the lows of 8th of February 2016. So just like I said, that's how important that level was. So that's why we're going to keep it just on our radars here. But again, in order to consider these lower levels, we need to see a drop below the 0.7055 level first, but which seems not to be the case right now. So for now, keep on monitoring this 0.7135. Let's see what it wants to do with it. One more pair here, and NZDJPY. Initially, yeah, of course, yesterday we saw this nice slide lower, and today it's kind of trying to push nicely back up here. You can see it managed to get itself back above the pivot, but the most important level that we're keeping a close eye on here is this one near the 75.85 level. So a nice good move above this could, of course, open the path towards slightly higher levels. And if you want, actually, you can lift the level here just to take it from the R1 So the R1 is currently sitting next to 75.90 level. So in a way, just first for that better confirmation of the upside, basically you could in a way keep your eyes on that one. On a push above the 75.90 level could open the path towards higher levels. So for now we're going to remain very cautious because today it's already quite extended to the upside. But again, let's see if the bulls still have a bit of steam left in them, and see that if they could actually possibly drive this one further up here. So for now, of course, we are keeping on this area here between the 75.85 and the 90 levels. So yep, if we do see a nice push higher, then yep, we could retest the 76 zone or even go higher. Maybe even actually by the end of today we could retest, or should I say, wouldn't say retest, but just to test this 76.28 level, approximately there near the R2. So it could be an interesting one to see. But again, like I said, first we need to see this nice good pop above the 75.90 level. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's GBPAUD. Now I'm not going to spend too much time on it, just wanted to quickly show you. So this pair, it continues to trade within this rising channel. The only problem is that it's already very close to the lower bound of this rising channel, and at the same time you can see that on let's say for example on the 8th of February it failed to go higher towards these highs that we saw here in the end of January. So in a way it's kind of creating now lower highs, and that's why there is some concern about what it's going to do actually here. Will it actually rebound and push higher, or is this going to be a nice good break lower, and then eventually we'll see further declines and further lower lows here going into the near term? So for now, guys, probably the best option is to stay put, just continue observing this, and let's say if this decides to travel back above the 1.81 level, certainly we could target slightly higher levels. But of course, from the, let's say, medium term perspective, if you want to see this one, let's say, traveling further up here, we would probably need to see the 1.8345 level getting cleared, and then we will see probably higher levels. But for now, this is where the pair is stuck. It's stuck near the lower bound of this rising channel. Let's see if it actually breaks it, and then yeah, we'll just take it from there. If we do see a nice close today, especially on the daily candle, we see a nice close below this rising channel, then yep, this could be a nice signal for next week, for potentially seeing further declines going into next week. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me on Monday morning at my Traders Espresso, and that's 7 o'clock GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful wonderful weekend. For those who are finished for today, of course, for those who are still trading, of course, wonderful weekend for you too, guys. But as well, be very careful with today's US session, and I hope you make a lot of piss. Let's put it that way. Thank you very much, and bye bye.